Blackbeard. You love him, you hate him, you admire, you despise him. Whatever you might feel about him, a lot of people seem to think that it's a no-brainer that he's going to be Luffy's final opponent at the end of One Piece. However, I'm going to go and lay this out to you why I don't believe this is the case at all. And it's a pretty simple one once you actually think about it. Before we get into that, if I could just ask y'all please to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like and comment, and give me your thoughts and opinions of the video after you get done listening to it. Appreciate it. Now you're probably wondering if I'm going to go the route of the Kainu path, and which would be basically, because of the whole Marineford/Ace thing, and the scar on Luffy's chest, because Luffy thinks about a Kainu whenever he thinks about that scar on his chest, and it'd be a good guess, but me personally, I don't think that Kainu will be anywhere near Luffy's final opponent if Luffy even gets to actually defeat him. He might clash with him, but that's for another video. What we're going to be talking about is or Emu, however you want to pronounce it. And a lot of people have been trying to sell to me that Emu is like, oh, he's just going to be a political figure, He's not going to really be strong or anything like that. And I just don't believe that, because if we look at everything and how it's like set up, it doesn't make sense that Emu would not be strong and would not be a combatant. Because when you think about it, when we're first introduced into Emu in chapter 908, we see glimpses of him in 906 and then 907 kinda. But 908 is when we actually get introduced to him with the Gorosei, bowing down to him and whatnot. So it is at that point we find out that they sit on a throne labeled the throne of the king of the world, the empty throne. And it's apparently been empty for, centuries. But the thing is like the person that sits on there is basically the king of the world. Emu sits on that throne. It wouldn't make sense for somebody to have that type of stature to just be some random in the shadows political head. And another thing why this makes perfect sense as to why they're a combatant is the fact that Luffy's dream, granted his full dream has only been alluded to, but he wants to be as free as he can be. He wants to be as free as possible, and Emu has been at the head of causing the slavery and sanctioning laws and deciding what islands get to stay and what things get rewritten from history. And the fact that they have that control, that would be Luffy's ultimate obstacle, because Luffy's ultimate goal is to be free outside of whatever other goal that he has that he told his crew, and then we just got to see a part of it. I mean, we got to see their reaction to it. But you just need to think about it. It's just like Blackbeard, yes, Blackbeard will be competing with him for the One Piece, and that is another one of Luffy's goals. But the overall goal is freedom. And Luffy also wants his friends to be free as well. And Emu is just something that's going to be in the way. And so, to go further into that, it's the Gorosei. So and this is another thing, a lot of people, I've been on, ever since the Gorosei were first introduced in chapter 233. They were introduced, ironically, in a chapter. The chapter was called The World's Greatest Power. And in this chapter, we got the revelation of Whitebeard, where you can see that Buggy is calling him the world's strongest man. And then later on, we have the Gorosei talking about Shanks and Whitebeard meeting and how it would be catastrophic. But in another instance, they also say Shanks could do some damage. So that can also go back into the Shanks fans and trying to power scale him and whatnot, because in the conversation between Whitebeard and Shanks, they highlight Shanks alone can do some damage, but they know that that's his conquest is not his forte. It's not something that he is sought after. But when you think about it, they're speaking so freely about these people, and and obviously we have the one of them that holds a weapon, and now with the latest chapter out, we have the name for Saturn for one of them, the ones with the dreadlocks, basically. And it just doesn't make sense for like a political head figure of that stature to just be basic, figureheads. And the other big thing is you can tell like all of them are celestial dragons, but they don't wear the bubble over their head because they're more civilized and they're more accustomed to, the world. They don't think they're too good to breathe in the air around the world. So that's another thing that just like it just helps build the case as to they're going to be some type of fighters. I'm not saying the Gorosei will be like top 5, top 10, something like that. Like the 5 will have to fight each one of the Straw Hats and whatnot. That's a pretty good indication with the whole, the sword being carried by one of the elders. But still, that's not really what my motive is. My motive is just to touch base on Imu, and how Imu is literally the embodiment of shackling freedom, hence preventing Luffy from being as free as he wants himself and his friends to be. Because at the end of the day, Luffy only cares about being free, his friends being free, his friends being able to do whatever they want, him being able to do what he wants. Hence why he's always got involved with these other islands. If you always look at it, there's always a level of some type of like restriction of freedom. You see in Alabasta, Crocodile is restricting a lot of things, and it's gonna basically ruin the country as basically like a shadowhead dictator. Same thing in Fishman Island. You have Hody Jones. Then you have obviously Dressrosa, and then Wano. Obviously, he had other motives behind Wano, but it's still, when Luffy saw how things were, when Zoro saw how things were, it was a forefront that they wanted to make sure these people were free, liberated. Luffy himself does not consider himself a hero. He has been asked this directly. He does not consider himself a hero, but he still has the hero tendencies, and he's gonna want people to be free. He's gonna want himself to be free, and Emu will be posing that greatest obstacle. Whereas Blackbeard is just greed embodiment. We can make that parallel to Rocks like everybody does. That he just wants to conquer the world. He wants to own everything, which is also an obstacle of freedom as well. But he is the one fighting to get control of the world. He is not in the seat of power that Emu is. Blackbeard does not have the type of like command that Emu has. Emu has apparently, voided out centuries of people, of civilization, where they just aren't in history anymore. Blackbeard doesn't have that. Maybe he might get it, but I don't really see that. I don't see Blackbeard suddenly taking Emu's spot as king of the world. This story would have to be another 1,000 chapters for me to maybe even make that possible. But I just wanted to get that out there and let you know my opinion as to why I think Blackbeard is not the final opponent and it's going to be Emu, and that the Gorosei are combatants. Not sure where they rank at power scaling wise, but that they are definitely going to be in the end game at some point. Obviously, we see Saturn coming into the current arc that we're in right now in Egghead. So, all right. Thank you guys for tuning in on the video. If you would, please like and subscribe. Comment in the comments below and tell me what you think about Emu, what you think about Blackbeard. Maybe I kind of knew, and just let me know. And if just a little hindsight, I do think I kind of knew was going to be fighting Sabo, because the Fire Fist, But anyway, y'all have a good day. Peace. On to the video.